In 2015, it was worth less than a dollar. Today, it powers governments, billion-dollar banks, and the entire DeFi revolution. This isn't just crypto anymore. This altcoin is literally changing the world. In 2015, Ethereum launched quietly, overshadowed by the dominance of Bitcoin and dismissed by many as just another overhyped token. Its founder, Vitalik Buterin, was just 19 years old, a soft-spoken coder from Toronto who had once written for Bitcoin magazine. But Vitalik had a different vision. While Bitcoin was digital gold, Ethereum aimed to be a global computer, a platform where code could run trustlessly on the blockchain. It introduced a radical idea: smart contracts, programs that execute without needing a middleman. Ethereum's initial coin offering, ICO, sold tokens at around $0.3 each, eventually raising over $18 million, a massive success for a project so controversial. But the crypto community was brutal. Critics called it bloated, too ambitious, and fundamentally flawed. Bitcoin Maxis mocked its complexity. Why do we need this? Bitcoin already exists, they said. Yet behind the scenes, developers were beginning to build real applications, real experiments. Ethereum wasn't just a currency, it was a platform, and this early foundation would become the launchpad for a revolution no one, not even Vitalik, fully saw coming. But buried deep inside Ethereum's code was a power even much bigger than money. Ethereum didn't stop at transferring tokens. It introduced something far more disruptive: programmable money. This meant users could write code that lived on the blockchain. Code that didn't require lawyers, banks, or centralized servers. Just agreements that executed themselves. These were smart contracts, and they changed everything. Suddenly, Ethereum became more than a coin. It became a platform where developers could build decentralized apps, or dApps, with real-world functionality. No permission and no gatekeepers, it was all code. The results came fast. DeFi, decentralized finance protocols offering lending, trading, and yield without banks. NFTs, allowing artists to tokenize digital art. And DAOs, organizations governed entirely by smart contracts instead of CEOs. By 2017, Ethereum fueled an ICO explosion, where startups raised billions by launching their own tokens on the network. It was chaotic and messy, but it proved the world wanted more than static digital money. They wanted programmable value. Ethereum was no longer an experiment. It was evolving into the Internet of Value, and it was only getting started. With great power came even greater pressure, as Ethereum's cracks were about to show. The first major test came in 2016, when an ambitious project called the DAO, a decentralized investment fund built entirely on Ethereum, raised over $150 million. But a vulnerability in its smart contract was exploited. $60 million was drained overnight. Ethereum's dream of trustless systems faced its first existential crisis. The community split as one side chose to reverse the hack by rewriting the blockchain's history, creating what we now call Ethereum. The other side insisted code is law and stuck with the original chain, Ethereum Classic. The idealism of the early days cracked under the weight of real-world consequences. Then came the congestion. As more people built on Ethereum, the network slowed. Gas fees, the cost of using Ethereum, skyrocketed. Simple transactions sometimes cost $50 to $100. Critics pounced: too slow, too expensive, and too bloated. And yet developers stayed. Ethereum became an absolute battleground between purists and pragmatists, speed and security. It was messy, yes, but through the chaos, something rare was happening. It kept evolving. Even as the world doubted, Ethereum refused to break. Instead of collapsing under pressure, Ethereum did something almost no one expected. In September 2022, Ethereum pulled off what many called the most complex upgrade in crypto history: the merge. It transitioned from energy-hungry proof of work to the sleek, efficient proof of stake. Overnight, Ethereum slashed its energy consumption by 99.95%, silencing critics who called it an environmental disaster. This wasn't just a technical milestone, it was a philosophical rebirth. Ethereum proved it wasn't rigid like Bitcoin. It could adapt, evolve, and even rewrite its DNA while staying online. There was no downtime, no chaos, just a seamless shift into a new era. Now Ethereum was climate-friendly, more secure, and dramatically more efficient. It was no longer just chasing innovation. It was setting the standard. Where other blockchains promised speed at the cost of decentralization, Ethereum showed you could have all three: security, decentralization, and sustainability. This wasn't a fork. It wasn't a patch. It was a reinvention, live in real time. And the world was watching. This time, Ethereum wasn't struggling to survive the chaos. It was mastering it. If you've made it this far, you're part of the 1% that actually understands where crypto is headed. So hit subscribe, because the next disruption, you'll want to see it coming. Now, let's see how slowly but surely Ethereum began seeping into the real world. What began as an underground tech experiment is now quietly embedded in the global system. JP Morgan, Visa, PayPal, Nike, and even the United Nations all use Ethereum or its tools to build, track, verify, or innovate. No speculation anymore now, it was infrastructure. Governments once hostile to crypto are now exploring Ethereum as a foundation for central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. In Brazil, the central bank tested their digital real on Ethereum. Meanwhile, services like the Ethereum Name Service, ENS, are reshaping digital identity, replacing cryptic addresses with readable usernames like a decentralized passport. It powers the NFT boom, the entire DeFi economy, and the backbone of countless Web3 projects. Real estate titles, carbon credits, art collections, loan agreements, crowdfunding platforms. The range is staggering. Ethereum has become the invisible engine beneath the next internet. And the most remarkable part? You don't need to understand blockchains to benefit from it. Like electricity or Wi-Fi, Ethereum is just, they're powering everything and asking for nothing in return. But as Ethereum grew stronger, one question started echoing louder than ever. Could Ethereum ever overtake Bitcoin, not in price, but in purpose? For years, Bitcoin has reigned as the undisputed king of crypto, a store of value, digital gold, built to be untouchable. But Ethereum is different, as it's not just held, it's used too. It powers millions of transactions, apps, and innovations every day. By 2025, the total value locked in DeFi protocols on Ethereum surpassed Bitcoin's entire network activity. Nearly every major Web3 developer builds on Ethereum or one of its rollups. While Bitcoin remains steady and unmoving, Ethereum evolves, its ecosystem expanding like a living organism. It's no longer just coin versus coin, it's vision versus vision. While one is a fortress, the other is a digital metropolis. One stores value and the other creates it. Some call it the flippening, the idea that Ethereum may someday surpass Bitcoin in relevance, if not market cap. And if it happens, it won't be because of hype. It'll be because Ethereum became something Bitcoin never wanted to be, a platform for everything. But maybe the real transformation wasn't technological, it was deeply human. One thing's for sure, Ethereum did way more than just disrupting finance. It reshaped trust itself. In a world defined by middlemen, banks, governments, and corporations, Ethereum offered a radical alternative. A network where code becomes law and trust is embedded in math, not institutions. Suddenly, a contract didn't need lawyers, votes didn't need a polling station, and transactions didn't rely on banks. Everything from elections to digital identity, from medical records to supply chains, can now be stored and verified on Ethereum. That's exactly what makes it the infrastructure instead of a coin, a digital bedrock for a more transparent, decentralized future. Where the internet connected us, Ethereum might redefine how we cooperate, how we agree, and how we build systems that can't be corrupted. We're talking so much more than just tokens or charts now. It's about rewiring the idea of trust itself. And the most remarkable part? It all started with a teenager, a white paper, and a 75-cent token. And now, it's shaping the world that comes after. What else might Ethereum make obsolete? Let us know what you think.